Hey, you guys, it's your boy Eli here, and I'm happy to announce that we will be part of Comic Palooza's podcast partnership program. And we will be there live in front of all of you guys, everyone who's be attending Comic Palooza on May 26th and 28th. We will be doing a live podcast episode in front of everyone and hope to see you all there. Uh, we will be doing some cool stuff there, and I hope to see you guys there. Hopefully, a meet up. Who knows? Anyways, guys, hope to see you guys there. Anyways,
And welcome back to episode of Geek Centurions, me boy Eli.
Hey Joe.
And we are here to talk about X-Men 97. But before that, quick note, we will be at Compalooza on the week of the Memorial Weekend from Friday at 1 p.m., right?
I believe
Or
so.
let me double check because sometimes I get my timing wrong. But we will be there for a live show on Friday at yeah. We're talking about some funny animated fighting in cartoons because that was a thing in the 90s.
Yeah, if you're, intrigued by that,
Mm-hmm.
just the bizarre, animation of various, bizarre 90s shows
Mm-hmm.
about fighting games that haven't, definitely come out, watch us live,
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. Um, yeah, because, I mean, we did this last year. It was very fun, very, cool experience to get
It would be at 6.
6 p.m.
Mm-hmm. Yes, on Friday.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll probably just that'll be like one of the last few things for the con. So yeah, definitely come out on Friday, check us out. Come meet us for the first
Mm-hmm.
time. All that stuff.
Yeah.
So
And it will also be on Sunday at 1. That's the one I was thinking about. Where we will be with other podcasting groups, the Phantom Nerds and WBM, as we discuss the Anime Odyssey. So basically, how influential anime has been in a lot of areas aside from just animation. And so we're excited for that one. I will be up there. You said you'll be there, kind of. Maybe you're not sure.
I'm not sure at the moment, but
Be there in spirit.
be there in spirit if I can't be
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So that's the one thing we wanted to get out of the way. We hope to see you guys there. But on to the actual episode of today, where we will be talking about the full season of X Men '97, our thoughts, how do we feel about this show, and how do we want to see any other shows couldn't have this kind of treatment? Because a lot of people are. Let me check the audio. A lot of people are talking about how maybe can we do it with good old Spider-Man, but we'll see.
Right, yeah. So yeah, like at this point, we've ended season one, which I mean, just from the ending of the of in this latest episode,
Yeah.
yeah, all right, we have more stories to tell,
Mm-hmm.
right? That sort of thing.
We always leave it at a cliffhanger.
Mhm.
Even if we're never confirmed for season two. No, this show is confirmed for season two. The head writer has already done enough work for 2 seasons in terms of the writing, and now it's just left in the hands of the animators. So whether we'll see that by a year or two from now, we'll see.
Mhm.
Now, honestly, Joey, what are your thoughts overall on the show?
Overall, I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is a great sort of you know, like continuation of the original series, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just like it's nice to see some X-Men action after because I mean what the Dark Phoenix movie came out in like what 2019, right?
2019 was it? I don't really remember.
Point is that the X-Men have been sort of out of the spotlight in terms of mainstream media for quite a while.
Yeah, and rightfully so. I would say because by the way, that wasn't the last one. You forgot about New Mutants.
Yeah, but that to be fair, that movie was in like it was not in development hell, but it was very much like they've made the movie, it was finished, but they just couldn't figure out like when to like release it. Because I swear to God, there was like three different trailers just for when that movie was getting announced to come out,
Mm-hmm.
and then just didn't get. You know,
Yeah.
it was just like one of those movies where like they didn't, no one really knew what to do with it, especially because I think it was like towards the it was finished right around the Disney Fox merger ended, so it was like, well, shit, what do we do with this?
Or we just, I guess, we'll send it out and see what we can do with it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sad because I remember really liking some of the casting choices, like Anna Taylor-Joy as Magic. 'Cause I'm like, no, yeah, that is a good choice. She
Wasn't
looks.
Macy Williams in that too?
Yeah, she was. I forgot who the name of that character was, but she's basically like a she-wolf kind of. I think it might have been she-wolf is the name. But it's one of those things where like I read X-Men, but there's so many characters in X-Men that I can't even keep track with.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, no, that was the show. That was a movie. And after that, it just came in limbo because everyone was kind of waiting and seeing what Marvel would do with their X Men because that's the characters that everyone's excited for. Next to the Avengers and maybe Fantastic Four. But obviously, X Men has been around for so long, you kind of understand why they kind of gave it a bit of a breathing room.
Mm-hmm.
And the show is '97 is kind of like I feel like it's kind of a compromise, right? Like here's you won't get the movies now, but here's the show with everything, including that classic theme.
Yeah, so yeah, I think people were hoping to see how they would handle X-Men and mutants in the MCU, all that stuff, right? I mean, we kind of have been sort of seeing some of that mutant stuff in the MCU, but not full on X-Men. I mean, obviously, Deadpool and Wolverine movie that's going to come out this year. That's sort of I think the first actual X-Men related thing for the MCU. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
X-Men '97. I really liked it. I liked the animation. I liked just the characters and sort of a lot of the story arcs that went out. That went through the course of the season.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of good, storytelling.
No, I'm with you on it. The thing that really caught me, and I think that caught a lot of people's attention, is that I feel like the first few episodes were very much but there was always already hints at the beginning of the show where we're kind of being a little more adult with this, and again, like we said like in our last conversation about this, adult not in like the graphic sense. Well, there is some graphic violence, but adult in the form of topics, right?
The storytelling, right?
Yeah.
Like the subject matter.
Because like we've always known that the X Men have had always these different allegories to different things. You know, stuff like race. Basically, their big thing is their big obstacle is bigotry, right? So that kind of stuff. Um, and this show pretty much feels more mature in the sense that we are talking about that kind of stuff, right? Obviously, you can see in the second episode with the executioner who like very much is like screw mutants, Magneto. Here's the reason why I hate you know mutants, and then it's like what like you can be just taken like as a like a as a childish thing, right? I don't like them because they're different, but the way he goes about it is like I feel like nowadays this feels a little more different.
Just I think the way he talks and stuff, right? Like you could have that be inputted on X group, right?
Yeah, literally X group.
As any minority or group or a group that's been sort of persecuted or prejudiced against,
Yeah.
No, I mean that's always been sort of X-Men sort of bread and butter, right? Like that's sort of always been how the comics have treated the mutants in general, right? As like people fear mutants because it's sort of like
they're different and they have powers that, to be honest, go at randomness because sometimes you'll come out with a really cool power like phasing through walls, or you become Beak, the guy who looks like a giant bald bird.
Yeah, that's always been one of those interesting things about the X-Men. But the show definitely leans into that sort of stuff. I mean, hell, we have the Roberto character, Sunspot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like his whole arc is that he's from a rich family, right? That that he knows he's a mutant, but he doesn't want to come out to his parents, that sort of thing. And they do an interesting arc with him finally coming out to his mom at least, and it's like, oh, okay, that's interesting take, but then it's still kind of
yeah, no, she By the way, there will be a bit of spoilers in this conversation because I feel like it's kind of needed.
Well, yeah, because we're discussing the whole season in general at this point,
Mhm.
right? Because all the episodes are out, you know. So we're just sort of gonna go through mainly just down like the various aspects of the show
Mhm.
that I think we all sort of liked and stuff, right?
Yeah. With Sunspot, the fact that his mother finds out and yet tries to still hide it, like the big shame of it, right? Like, oh, I don't want people to know that my son is a mutant, and it's like that kind of story be like you can equate it to anything really.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that it feels so interesting.
Yeah.
Is that like his parents know,
Mm-hmm.
like it's like, come on, you really expect us to believe all these crazy stories you kept on? Our house didn't like gets burned down like ever since you were 16. You had like multiple like
Fire accidents.
fire accidents. You kept blaming it on a bunch of random stuff. Like we kind of figured you had something going on, but we wanted you to come out to us.
And
You're
it starts off
comfortable.
like it starts off like something like, son, we know. We just want you to know that whatever you're comfortable to tell us, we'll be here. But we need to keep this shit in the wraps because it might ruin our future.
Yeah, that sort of thing where it's like they have this aspect of we want to, you're our son, we love you. However, we have, a name to hold up, and unfortunately, we need to keep this under wraps. Like we still like you, I guess it was
The way he said that too.
yeah,
It's probably how he felt.
yeah, it's like that's probably how he saw it. It's like we love you, but we need to, you cannot be out here looking, doing that
Yeah.
stuff.
It's like it's basically both comforting and fearing of what he felt, in which why like when he ends up kind of slightly turning villainous, I would say.
Well, yeah, because I mean,
It's like, yeah, I kind of get it.
yeah, you get it, you
Yeah.
get it. But yeah, like, I mean, what else do you want to talk about?
Probably just honestly for me is just so obviously they're borrowing a lot from the comics, right? Um, but they're not fully adapting stuff from the comics, I would say, but they're taking a lot of good stuff to help breathe new life into it, but also give people the idea of um, I wouldn't say that, but it's more like they're using storylines from the comics, kind of condensing it the way that a lot of the movies have been doing. But I feel like they've been kind of missing some points of it. I feel like the show's been doing a lot better with it because, like, I'm thinking of the Fall of Genosha, right? Which was a thing that happened in one of who was it? It wasn't. It was right after the Claremont era. I want to say it wasn't the Jim Lee era, but it was probably Grant Morrison era. It was Grant the Morrison era where they really went into that, and that's kind of where it led into the new X Men books, especially with what's her name, the White Queen, Emma.
Emma Frost?
Where they start introducing the second generation, the second mutations kind of stuff, because it's
Yeah.
like amazing. She got diamond powers, which is like, oh, are they doing that? Oh, they're not doing that, but the way they introduce that line, but I recommend guys go check out the comics. The way you can do that is it helps out. It helps explain what the kind of want to do the story. Like there's still hope. There's still like a lot of this stuff going on, and then you're kind of using it to like bridge this sort of storyline, right? I think that's a really cool thing. If I make it any sense.
Um, yeah, there you are. It's like how a lot of the MCU movies are, right? They take various bits of the comic storyline, but are able to streamline it to be a more of a streamlined experience, right? Like
Yeah.
obviously they know they can't have as many pages as a comic book, but they'll take whatever a lot of the important bits and stuff and make sure and sort of put it all together.
Yeah, because there's a point where they make like a slight reference, but I kind of was wondering, are they gonna go forward with this? Where the tease of Onslaught, and if those of you who don't know who Onslaught is basically what happens when you put Magneto's ambitions and like Xavier's sort of dark tendencies together, and that's what you get Onslaught. right? It's you probably if you probably see him as this big, super, like '90s muscular Magneto looking dude. That's Onslaught, right? If you play Marvel's Capcom 1, that's the final boss.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I had to throw that in.
Yeah,
there.
I, as soon as you said Onslaught, I knew you were gonna go that route, but yeah, you can go on.
No, but no, yeah, that's kind of like where I thought for a second they were going because there was a moment where they're kind of doing that, but it was more or less like just like a slight callback, not an actual. We're not doing that storyline. Maybe not. I don't know, but it's that kind of stuff. It's like basically it was after like a huge argument between the two that caused them to do that, and that's what they did in the show. But they're not going for fully with the Onslaught thing. It was more of like, hey, let's just do this part of that storyline.
Right.
Which I thought, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. But yeah, like I said, go check out the comics because they're pretty cool. Honestly, what would you else want to speak on for the show?
I will say, I did find well, speaking of Magneto stuff, I did find the Magneto Rogue subplot.
Oh yeah,
definitely interesting.
Yeah, how so?
Well, I mean,
because I'm actually surprised they went with that.
Yeah, because I mean, it's very, I'll say it's very soap opera-ish, which I guess fits in line with X-Men because I feel like there's a lot of like soap opera elements in X-Men. I mean, obviously the whole Jean, Cyclops, Wolverine,
which is
love triangle.
If I'm being honest, that was always more like TV and movie thing. Comic wise, it's rarely a thing, but
yeah.
Like, I get why they put that, especially that everyone's like clamoring about. Because like, let's just say the triangle, the love triangle, I was expecting was gonna be that, but no, it was the Magneto, Rogue, and Gambit thing.
Yeah, because I mean, it's like I think you mentioned this before, but yeah, that is a storyline that happens in the comics because Magneto's like electromagnetism stuff, his powers. He basically is like he uses it. He's like the only person that can actually touch her.
Yeah.
Without being affected by her abilities.
And that means so much to her.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. So it's like, then you, I guess, yeah, it's very interesting.
It's one of the moments in the show that made me like really love Gambit too. Because Gambit's a very understanding man, as suave and as full of drip and full of riz. That man. He's like, no, but I respect you, Rogue. I respect you. I love you. What was that line he told her? Some things are deeper than skin.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, my boy. That's my boy right there. That's my man. And and that leads to Rogue, and throughout the show, like, cause he has the best death scene, and like, I was hurt. I was like, oh, not my boy, Gambit. And then that kind of leads into the shit with Rogue going through her mourning, I guess.
Yeah, just
But okay, let me ask you this: one of the reasons you were thinking about it is because like how weird it was considering the age gap.
Yeah, I think it is definitely an odd one, right? I mean, because
I mean, I knew it was gonna happen because they kind of teased it in that first episode, and I'm just like, oh, are they? Oh, they doing it. All right, and they make jokes about it, but they also play it serious. And I'm like, oh, you're going for that? Are we doing? I was like, in my mind, I was like, or especially when they introduced Baby Cable, I was like, wait, are we doing Age of Apocalypse? Is that what we're doing? But it's not, because like in Age of Apocalypse, they're together and they have a kid. Rogue and
Magneto.
Yeah, which I was like, that's still kind of weird.
Yeah, it's a little bit too jarring, right?
Yeah.
I think no, it's obviously because Magneto, he's a Holocaust survivor, so he's at least like he's definitely.
If we went with like current.
If it was set in modern like 2024 timeline, it's like Jesus. But I mean, at the same time, I mean like, it's whatever.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's comics.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, they met as consenting adults anyway, so it's, I guess, if it's not that weird, but they're obviously it's still a little weird, but
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, for what it is, it works because it does sort of feel like
Because like I said, you understand what Rogue's coming from.
yeah, and it does, and I think it does a good job of at least creating a lot of drama, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like intrigue and stuff. And you know, obviously later on, you know, where she does sort of at least stand by Magneto a bit, because
Mm-hmm.
he's also like, listen, I want to like build a world where mutants aren't like persecuted and stuff. I want to like have that Genosha stuff, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So ultimately, she still like has like sort of those sort of feelings.
No, yeah, and I'm very happy they kind of went that direction. Um, Speaking of love triangles, the other love triangle, which was ended really quickly, which was the like I said earlier, the Gene Scott and Wolverine angle.
Well, I mean, yeah, yeah. It's definitely less like focused on, but I feel like at the same time, it's like I think the creators knew that they couldn't really rely, you know, do a whole ton of that
Yeah.
because I feel like everybody's sort of seen that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I
Yeah,
feel
they
like
had
the
like a bunch
show,
of movies about it.
yeah, and the show I feel like definitely wants to put in a lot of was putting in a lot of work to like make Cyclops like make you understand why he's the leader, right?
Yeah.
All this sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm. He's a very caring man, and he's also very strong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he very much cares, and I'm really glad that throughout the show, like they kind of like set up the, yes, I love Jean, but this is kind of weird because I was with the clone, but does that mean I love Jean? And of course, well, they don't really go that much into it. It's pretty much established like, no, you do love Jean.
Yeah, it's one of those like where does Jean, where does Madeline end and where does Jean begin, right? Kind of
Like
thing.
where was did I know Madeline the whole time? Did I know Jean the whole time? When was Jean Madeline and when was Madeline Jean? Kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And like this is kind of theme between with Scott about being a father and like fatherhood and that kind of stuff, especially since like the season starts off with him, you know, being a father to Nathan, having to lose Nathan and only to be reunited after he finds out that Nathan is Cable.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, yeah, yeah, Scott, you've been through a lot.
Yeah.
But you also, again, we kind of get why he was very much the the leader. He's got what it takes. And yeah, no. Where else can we go with this? Because there's so much we can talk about. We just don't know where to start.
I mean, Professor Xavier.
Oh yeah.
That little subplot that
Yes.
happens. I mean, I think we kind of, I think in our first episode talking about those first two episodes, I think of X-Men 97, right?
Yeah.
Where we're like, is Charles Xavier dead? Probably not.
Now-
When will he come back? Will he do like what he did in the movies, where he like comes back in like a different consciousness, somebody else's body kind of thing?
Nah, he was just in space with his girlfriend.
Yeah, like off screen, he was saved by these aliens, right?
Yeah, the Shi'ar.
The Shi'ar, yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, the Shi'ar. They were a thing.
I won't lie, when that episode started, I'm like, all right, so what sort of weird alien shenanigans are we getting into? Because I mean, like, what the hell does this have to do with the X-Men?
Yeah.
But like, you know, it's like, oh, all right, I see. Okay, I know. Okay, all right,
Yep.
that makes sense.
And it just kind of further details like why I think, you know, Professor Xavier is such like a really good character outside of the comics. Because in the comics, he's kind of like back and forth between like being that fatherly, you know, good-natured man to like
mentor.
to like, Scott, I love Jean.
Mm-hmm.
What?
What?
That was an actual thing, by the way. I'm just like, bro, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, child soldiers.
Okay. I mean, not necessarily, but I mean,
Yeah.
you know, that is how it sort of turned out for the X-Men. Anyways, but yeah, you know, there's an interesting thing with him. Like, you know, he did obviously was in love,
Yeah.
right? But at the end of the day, he couldn't really let go of the X-Men.
No, he couldn't let go to the cause. He loves his children.
Yeah, and especially because you know, he gets that sort of thing like, oh shit, shit went down in Genosha. I have to like go back now.
Yeah, they were drinking, they were dancing, drinking, making love. I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
Dude.
it's like it was perfect, and then what the hell?
It was paradise,
Yeah,
and then destruction.
yeah. So
Do you want to talk about the little cameos?
Oh yeah. I mean, I won't include much of Morph's cameos bits because I mean he obviously transforms into a bunch of different characters.
Yeah,
Just for
Sabretooth, Hulk. I don't think there's another one in there too.
Quicksilver.
Oh yeah, Quicksilver. I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
for that bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't necessarily count those, but it is kind of neat,
Yeah.
right? Just to see that sort of thing. But no, yeah, there's other cameos of various other Marvel characters. I mean, heck, we have the Captain America bit.
Yeah. And I remember seeing a lot of people being upset about that. And I'm like, guys, this is an X-Men show. Because if those of you who don't tend to read comics, oftentimes whenever there's a cameo or like some a character from a different book shows up, they're either going to be written as they are, or they're going to be written to be different. Like no, like Captain America is one of those where he's either the like a military kind of guy, very much for the government, but then when you go read his books, it's like, oh, this isn't exact this is not what he would have done.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff. So I wasn't really bothered by it, and I seen people getting upset, and I'm like, it's just how it be.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, and to be fair, like later on when so as the course of the series goes on, there's the asteroid M thing, and the president is thinking about just shooting a bunch of freaking missiles to like just blow it up, and Cap is very much like, yeah, I don't think this is a good idea, boss. You know, and you get that sort of look. He has a sort of downtrodden look, like, I don't like this.
I don't like this.
So it's he still has those elements,
Yeah.
obviously.
We also got to see Daredevil.
Yeah, we got to see Daredevil doing a little bit of saving because I mean, not to get too deep into it, but we do sort of find like the actual true villain of the season, Bastion.
Yeah, I mean we can get into it.
Yeah, because he's been sort of like the main dude behind everything.
Yeah.
Right, like he's responsible for the the whole blowing up of Genosha and turning people into Prime Sentinels, which are like pretty much just cyborgs.
Yeah, they're basically cyborgs, and like it's the idea that he portrays is that because of this fear of mutants, of people who aren't you, are coming out more and more. That you like, it's very much like commentary you would kind of hear nowadays. Not to go like actual politics and shit. So again, like it's very understandable why these people want to like switch sides and or like do that kind of stuff because they're afraid. And he kind of like milks that fear and uses it for his own goal.
Mm-hmm.
Because he is essentially a half cyborg kind of guy.
Yeah, like he's basically like half Sentinel.
Yeah, and
like he's a mutant but also Sentinel.
Yeah, which is like the worst kind.
Yeah.
Because his prime directive is to destroy the mutants.
Yeah, so pretty much that's his whole thing. Like he sets up pretty much all of this stuff to go down in order to essentially wipe out all mutants, but also just turn things into like a robot wasteland.
Yeah, no, he is ruthless too. Just the way he kills that one guy, I was like, whoa, that took a turn.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where, like I said, like this show is a lot more mature than you remember, and it kind of makes sense, right? Because we got the ability to do it, and then we're gonna, we can go forward.
Yeah, but pretty much, yeah, like like we were saying earlier, Daredevil shows up fighting off these Prime Sentinels for a little bit. I mean, we get a bit of Spider-Man as well. Silver Samurai shows up for a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of anybody else off the top of my head.
No, that's about it.
I mean, I guess technically, we see civilian, Peter Parker and Mary Jane.
Mary Jane, and at the background you see Flash Gordon, which is
Flash Thompson.
Flash Thompson, yeah. Jesus Christ, so too many flashes. I always thought that was funny because like he just comes in with like his bag on his shoulder and like he
Well, like everybody's like the world's ending because Magneto's just straight up just turned off all the power.
there's a little bit of looting and smashing going around.
And it's just like, I just got my back. Yeah, I'm a jock. What do you want me to do? All right.
You're Agent Venom.
Not in this universe.
That's true. But yeah, no, I mean, if I'm gonna give my full thoughts on this, I would say that this is essentially the show.
Oh right, just King T'Chaka.
Was it King T'Chaka or T'Challa?
It's T'Chaka. Cap says his name, T'Chaka.
Oh
So
shit.
this isn't T'Challa.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Mhm.
Which is, I think is interesting because forgive me if I'm wrong,
Mhm.
because I'm pretty sure the Fantastic Four
They
show.
did meet T'Challa.
Yeah, and isn't that still technically connected to the X-Men show?
Yeah, it is.
So
I think it's either they didn't want to use T'Challa yet, or they didn't think about it at the time. Or like they probably just forgot. There's probably some like easy explanation or something like that.
or because I mean, is King T'Chaka still alive in the '90s shows? Because
I'm not sure.
yeah,
I don't remember shit from the.
Yeah, I would probably think about maybe just looking that up because
Yeah.
it is a little bit of weird. Because here's the thing: we see King T'Chaka, I think, without the Black Panther mask in that like boardroom meeting with the president. But then we have a scene earlier where we see Black Panther with the Dora Milaje.
Oh, you're saying that like T'Challa's Black Panther while the T'Chaka's still being acting like king?
Yeah.
That's something that's
I think that's probably that's what it is. But,
probably what it is.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah,
Yeah.
all the cameos are pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They work for what
Iron
they
Man
are.
too. We forgot. About
Yeah, I forgot Iron Man's
Yeah.
also hanging out with the President Cap.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, Avengers probably is a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, but
It's funny because I remember people saying like, "Man, Avengers ain't shit." I'm like, because this is an X-Men show and they're kind of emphasizing more X-Men than like Avengers. Avengers have their own cool stuff, but
yeah, that's sort of the thing when it comes to
all the Marvel teams.
Yeah, all the Marvel teams in general is that they're all doing all their own separate things. I mean, heck, freaking the Civil War storyline.
Yeah.
In the comics, like the X-Men were off doing their own shenanigans.
Yeah.
Right, while the whole Civil War shit was going down.
Yeah, like we're not part of this.
Yeah, like just let's move on, guys. We're not dealing with this.
Yeah.
All right.
No, but like I was saying, if I were to give my full thoughts on this show, it's that this is a very like well-made show and clearly made for people who grew up with the show and like wanted to can show that they grew up on it, and by that I mean like they kind of went more into what makes into a more mature route, because majority of the people who watch the show are adults like us now. Like we both watched the cartoon when we were kids. Now we're adults, and you know what? We should change like the storylines to be more mature, but still in that way where even kids can still watch it. Because that was always kind of the thing about, especially the '90s superhero cartoons. They're very mature, surprisingly. Like I'm thinking of like Batman the Animated Series, but they still had stuff that kids would like.
Yeah.
Because I'm always thinking about that one episode with the little girl who was actually a
baby doll.
Baby doll. Yeah, that was very dark.
Yeah. When you look at it as an adult, but yeah, no, there's a lot of dark elements to that episode, and it's like, but as a kid, it's like, oh, that's very, that's kind of neat.
Yeah, just the last scene of her like seeing how she would be as an adult. I'm like, her just crying as she shoots it. I'm like, that's kind of fucked.
Yeah.
Well, any thoughts on this? On your thoughts on the whole show as a whole?
Yeah, no, I would agree. It's like I said earlier. Everything. The show is very well paced. Obviously, I think all the actors bring their A game. The animation. I think a lot of people were like a little hesitant, but I honestly think it's probably some of the best animation I think these Marvel shows have been putting out. Like, way better than like the stuff you see on the Disney XD channels or whatever.
Yeah.
Probably better than the What If show. And I know a lot of people were even saying like, man, like this is probably the only like Marvel like property that's been using all of its budget. It seems like, like this shit looks better than like fucking Invincible, and
And the thing about Invincible is that it's a smaller studio.
Yeah, I know, but like at the same time though, people are like, how come? What? Like, because I think people like look at that initial announced trailer for Invincible,
Yeah.
like the second season, and they're like, wow, this animation looks so good. No wonder they're taking so much time with it. And then it's like, oh wait, no, it looks. And when the show came out, it's like, oh, it's the same animation as last season. That.
Mm-hmm.
Then what was? Why did they?
They hired an actual animator. No. I don't mean like that. Everyone who works on that show is an actual animator.
But they hired like a completely different animator
Yeah.
to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because they had the animators working on the entire show the entire time, right?
Yeah.
They didn't want to like spend any more resources.
It's funny because there's a scene where in the comics for Invisible, there's a moment where like
I've heard of this.
where in the comics is like how do you like make sure all the the comic comes out on time? Well, sometimes we just do the panels over and over again, just hold it still. Like, isn't that kind of lazy? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun bit in the comic, and then they adapt that in the show.
Bit differently, where
But like for the animation medium, like I always like the the TV show. I wonder like how do you guys are able to like do that? Well, sometimes we'll just take far out, zoom out shots that don't need a whole lot of detail.
Sometimes we'll cover their mouth so that people don't know.
Yeah, that way we don't have to animate the lips moving all the time, that sort of thing. Huh, interesting. Yeah.
It's like, but sometimes some animators go a little extra hard.
For like
Cut to like a very detailed place of Mark.
Yeah, just like sometimes the animators will just go hard, sometimes just to mess with it.
What? And then it moves and like instead of holding twos, it holds ones. And like, ah, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no. They're two totally different shows, two different companies. It's fine, guys. It's like how people react to when Mappa does an anime versus Wit or Sunrise or is Gainax still around?
No.
Trigger.
Yeah, Trigger. Yeah,
Trigger.
Yeah, because friggin' yeah, it's just that sort of that whole debate, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like this doesn't look like the freaking manga panel, even though I'm not gonna read the manga. God damn it.
Yep, very much.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Overall, I'm excited for season 2 because I mean the cliffhanger leaves you on a lot of stuff. The main X-Men team gets scattered across time, straight up. Fucking, you got Professor X and Magneto and some of the other guys meeting fucking Apocalypse.
Oh yeah, in Sabanu.
Yeah, and then you got fucking Cyclops and Jean, and I assume Wolverine because we didn't see Wolverine in the desert.
No, well I think he might be still. I think he might have made it out of it. I don't know, but who knows?
Yeah, because it's like they're in the far future and they meet a different version of Nathan Summers.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
it might actually be Nathan. I don't think it's gonna be Nate.
Yeah.
I'm not going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. So there's a lot of interesting stuff, and then of course you got Bishop coming back, being like, all right, we got to go find our friends. We're gonna go do some time travel stuff.
Some time traveling shenaniganery.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I really fully enjoyed this show, and I highly recommend it to anyone. It's not just a really good superhero cartoon. It's a really good show. It's a good show.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I recommend. And I'm very excited to see what else comes out of this. I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, what did they do? Like Spider-Man 98? What all that kind of stuff." And I'm like, let's hold off, guys. There's some shows that I feel like are okay with being done.
Yeah, I know some people I think want like essentially just revivals of all the other like '90s Marvel shows. But honestly, I think the only one that probably we could see that happening is the Spider-Man one, only because it does sort of leave on a cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But then we got the answer. Oh wait, if it's 97 and it's okay, I never mind.
Yeah, so it's like all right. I mean, if we want to do something like that, I mean, I don't know. At the same time, though, I feel like if they wanted to do like a revival of the Spider-Man '90s show, I feel like I don't know, because I don't know what other storylines they could do except maybe add like their version of Miles.
That's the idea, right?
Yeah, I guess, but
who knows? But anyway, guys, I think that's a good place to end the episode now. We highly recommend X-Men 97. And like I said earlier, we will be at Compalooza this Memorial Weekend. We'll be on Friday and Saturday. Friday at 6, Sunday at 1. Be sure to check us out. We'll be talking about fighting games, and we will also be talking about the influence that anime has brought to us. So yes, be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We're most likely going on Instagram. We'll find all clips of all this kind of stuff, but you also find links to all podcasting sites that we're officially part of, like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, all the And you'll find a link to the YouTube where you can like, comment, subscribe, and a link to Patreon for any form of support. And it's been me, your boy, Line.
Sweet Joe.
You guys have a good one. Peace.